This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
That's Michael Dean for you. Welcome to DBL. It's Friday, April 16th. We made it to Friday. I'm Tori here with Brandon and Al. Let's get started right away. Boy, what a tough and tragic scene in Indianapolis. I'm sure you have all seen the headlines. There was a mass shooting at a FedEx facility there. At least 8 people were killed by a gunman who opened fire before taking his own life. A number of others were hurt. This is at least the 45th mass shooting in America in the past month since the Atlanta area spa shooting on March 16th. That's according to CNN, which considers a mass shooting any incident where 4 or more people, excluding the gunman, are shot and wounded or killed. I can't believe we now have to describe what a mass shooting is. We also came across this map that highlights just some of these mass shootings, and you can see how it's all across the country. Some of the witnesses at last night's shooting are speaking out about what they saw, like this man who spoke to ABC News. Take a look.
They didn't sound like gunshots at first. They made, because there was a loud clang after the first 2, and then my buddy Levi stood up as he was like kind of squatting at the bench and then looked over and out into the parking lot. Didn't see anything yet. And then we heard 3 more shots. And then my buddy Levi saw someone running out of the building, and then more shots went off. Somebody went behind their car to the trunk and got another gun, and then I saw one body on the floor.
A lot of families were waiting to be reunited with loved ones who were in the FedEx facility. They waited at a nearby hotel where a reunification center was open. A lot of the families were unable to contact their loved ones because there's a FedEx policy at the facility that prohibits workers from carrying their cell phones on the job. Now, some of the family members spoke to the news after finding out their loved ones were okay. Take a look at this.
But it is a sigh of relief just to hear something. They often say, or they used to say, no news is good news. That's not always true. That's not always true. You know, so I'm hoping and praying that the families get some type of information soon.
First of all, our love goes out to Indianapolis and everyone there. I will say that it reminds me of the argument we had over the phones with kids in high school. Should they get to keep their phones? And you think, when this occurs so often, sometimes you want your parents to be able to reach you at that point. What do you make of this? Are you numb? Are we just going to have another one? Are you angry? How are you feeling?
I'm not numb. It's just so, I feel like, ain't that America for you?
Yeah,
we
baseball,
have a mass shooting. We have
yep.
a mass shooting, and we're like, should you be allowed to keep your cell phone?
Right.
To let people know about the mass shooting. I just think that we might be missing the point a little bit. I spent a lot of time in Indianapolis. My ex-wife is from there. I've spent years of my life there. And those are good, hard-working people, man. And it's sad, but it's not surprising. And I just want us to remember that, you know, choosing to not make a decision about guns is making a decision. Yeah. No different than your weight. If you look and you go, hey, I've gained 30 pounds in the last month, and you don't change anything, you don't exercise, and you gain another 30 pounds the next month, you can't say, how did this happen? Well, we know. Yeah. You made a decision not to do anything, and I guess we're going to live with that, Brandon, I guess.
And when you said that, hey, you spend a lot of time in Indianapolis, there are a lot of good people. I spend time in Boulder. I spend time in Virginia Beach. A lot of these cities that were highlighted on that map. And like you said, like, unless it's personalized, I don't think we're going to move that needle unless we demand some sort of action. And we've come to the point, Al, where even if you would have said that, yes, I've become somewhat numb to it. I was looking on Twitter today, and someone put up, hey, have you heard about the latest mass shooting? And under it said, which one? Mm-hmm. That's where we are right now.
It's like too many hashtags, too many mass shootings, too many justice for blank. Yeah. Did you see she was wearing I can't breathe mask, wall discuss? I mean, it's just so much turmoil.
Layers of trauma.
Yeah, layers and layers. That's a wonderful way of saying that. And we wish everyone there in Indianapolis well. If you're from there, please let us know how it is there. Well, did you all see this? This is Dr. Fauci and Representative Jim Jordan. They started fighting at a congressional hearing about the pandemic. The whole thing actually lasted for about 7 minutes before Representative Maxine Waters had to cut them off. So let's take a little look at this.
What measure, what standard, what objective outcome do we have to reach before Americans get their liberty and freedoms back?
You know, you're indicating liberty and freedom. I look at it as a public health measure to prevent people from dying and going to the hospital.
You don't think Americans' liberties have been threatened the last year, Dr. Fauci? They've been assaulted. Their liberties have.
I don't look at this as a liberty thing, Congressman Jordan.
Well, that's obvious.
You're making this a personal thing, and it isn't.
It's not a personal thing.
No, you are. That is exactly what you're doing.
The American people want Dr. Fauci to answer the question. What does it have to be?
Expire, sir. If you need to respect the chair and shut your mouth.
Heated. Okay, so I just want to say very quickly to all of us, and I want to get your opinion that, like, we all understand what Representative Jim Jordan was saying. We all desperately want to reopen, and we all want to know when that will be. But bullying Dr. Fauci doesn't get us there any quicker. That doesn't help bring us to any kind of point where we can get together. So I totally get Jim Jordan's frustration, and I even wanted Dr. Fauci to answer. I totally get it. But bullying him in that way, who is a real hero to America and the way he handled AIDS and Ebola, isn't going to help at all.
Yeah, you know what? It's so interesting because I watched the entire
Me too.
clip. It's 7 minutes long, and he did answer. That was the thing. We didn't show it there, but he said when we get above 300 million vaccinations, Jim Jordan went on to say, well, what about this state and what about this state? And he said there's a difference between states that have a mandatory lockdown that's from the government and ones that have suggested lockdowns.
Right.
So he answered the question. So at that point, Brandon, it just seemed like it was performative at that point.
That's a good word.
But I don't think it was a definitive enough answer for a lot of Americans, Al. And I'm not even talking about the Q people and all those people, the conspiracy theorists. I'm talking about the people, the Americans, the hardworking Americans that they've been socially distancing. They've been wearing a mask, and they just want to get back to some normal life. They've been doing everything they're supposed to be doing, but they have now hit a point to where it's make or break when it comes to their business, providing food for their families. So I see what you're saying about, yes, I'm with the frustrations with Representative Jordan, but I didn't take it as him trying to bully him. I think that we need some sort of line we need some sort of
But we can't have that line if we don't know how people, if they're going to get vaccinated. We're asking a question that can't be answered because I don't know if I'm not allowed at work to walk up to Rob the cameraman, to walk up to Alexa, our producer, and be like, did you get vaccinated? Right. That is super illegal.
Yeah, I know.
So we'll never know. We'll never know how many people will decide, and it's their right to decide. But if they decide not to, and enough people decide not to, it's going to affect when we can reopen. This is just numbers.
It's just science. Yeah, Fauci at one point said it's just right now we're unacceptably high.
Yes.
And that has to be the answer right now. And unfortunately, I don't think yelling at Fauci does anything.
No.
I think if you look back at what he's done, he really is a huge hero to America. And some people say, I just saw that he was yelling at him. Jim Jordan seems to think bullying will change reality. That's actually the MO for senators and reps like him, says Devin Coleman. Yeah. Keep writing us in. Well, before we go to break, we got a crazy viral video to share.
Is this a good story?
This is a bobcat story. A bobcat attacks a woman. Her husband steps in to try and help. The whole thing was caught on camera. There's a toss. Take a look.
Watch out! It's a bobcat attacked my wife! A bobcat!
This is the definition of Red Bull gives you wings.
Yeah, I mean, it really, look.
He threw the bobcat.
We go through, speaking of performative, now I'm not trying to disrespect anybody's wedding vows, but we always look in people's eyes and say, I'll always love you and I'll be there forever. But no one ever says I'll throw a bobcat for you. You know, and I feel like his instinct should have been to run. He went and got a rabid bobcat off of his wife. That's real love. I don't want to hear any of your vows about doves and forever and on a hilltop. Will you throw a bobcat for me? That's it.
What if that's how you propose? Instead of will you marry me, it's will you throw a bobcat for me?
That's it.
Put it up on your Tinder profile. Yeah. Don't swipe right unless you throw a bobcat for me. Right there.
Throw a bobcat.
What a hero, honestly. And then he's like, it's a bobcat. Amazing. All right, coming up on DBL, actress Mayim Bialik, from working with Bette Midler on the iconic movie Beaches to her comedic roles on TV, she's telling us all about it. And is there still some bad blood between Prince William and Prince Harry? Our royal expert Stephanie Jones joins us next.
Stephanie!
Woohoo!
Closed captioning provided by
Everyone who gets the COVID-19 vaccine fills out a checklist to determine if there's any reason you shouldn't get the vaccine. One of the questions asks, have you ever had a positive test for COVID-19, or has a doctor ever told you that you had COVID-19? So what happens if you get COVID-19 after your first shot? We are here to verify, do I need to restart my vaccine if I contract COVID-19 between doses? With Verify, we like to show you our sources up front. For this story, we consulted the Centers for Disease Control and Dr. Amish Adalja. He's a senior scholar in infectious disease critical care and emergency medicine physician at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. If you catch COVID-19 between your 2 doses, you should self-isolate for at least 10 days.
You want to make sure that you're not contagious to people that are vaccinating you.
If your second dose is supposed to happen while you're still contagious, you will need to reschedule. While the CDC says it is best to get your second shot 3 to 4 weeks after your first one, health officials do say it is still effective up to 6 weeks after your first dose.
There's nothing to worry about if you get COVID between doses. You can still get your second dose and get protected.
So we can verify. No, you do not have to restart your vaccine if you contract COVID-19 between doses. Simply get your second shot after self-isolating.
Welcome back to DBL. Buckingham Palace has released new details about tomorrow's funeral for Prince Philip, who passed away last week. Stephanie Jones joins us to give us some insight into the royal funeral. So what will Brits be watching for tomorrow? Give us some deets.
Well, Tori, the funeral gives British people and the royal family a chance to say goodbye and pay their respects to Prince Philip. He will be carried in an electric Land Rover that he helped design to St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle for the funeral. And this is the first time we'll be seeing Harry and Prince William in public together since March of last year, because as Harry confirmed with his interview with Oprah, there's a bit of distance between the two. And the palace have confirmed that Harry will not be walking with his brother during the funeral procession. Instead, their cousin Peter Phillips will be walking between them. Once inside, Peter will also walk with William and Harry with another cousin. Now, of course, this will bring back memories of the heartbreaking images of the boys walking behind their mother's coffin during Princess Diana's funeral, and their uncle was in between them at the time. Another break from tradition is that the royal family will not be wearing the usual military uniforms. Instead, the palace said that will be in mourning dress, which is dark-colored clothing and suits.
Wow. I do have to ask, we also want to get to the fact that there's Prince Andrew, or I guess Andrew, who is embroiled in this Jeffrey Epstein affair. That's Queen Elizabeth's favorite son, is what I've heard, will be there as well. Will he be in military gear?
Okay, so I really admire the Queen for the decision that she's made. This is a really big deal because Prince Philip, he was actually in the Royal Navy for over 12 years, serving during World War II. And it's very, it's a sign of respect, and it's very customary for everyone to wear their military uniforms. Now, the Queen has made the decision that they will not be doing that. The reason for that is because Harry has been stripped of his military titles when he stepped down from being a royal. He still could wear his military badges, but it would have to be on a regular suit, meaning he'd be the only senior royal not in a military uniform. So she decided, okay, if Harry's not doing it, no one's doing it, despite obviously Prince Andrew's wishes to wear his, which, funny enough, he's still a member of the military.
I do not understand that. That's crazy.
It just seems like there's a lot of tension between the brothers.
Yeah.
And we're looking at this funeral as an individual thing, but it seems like over the course of their life, they've had issues.
Yeah, they have. Stephanie, that was amazing. Thank you so much for the details. We'll be keeping you here for updates coming up on DBL. We're catching up with actress Mayim Bialik. She tells us what Blossom would be up to today. Next in Chatting with the Stars.
It's looking more likely that we'll need a booster shot of the coronavirus vaccine, at least when it comes to Pfizer's vaccine. Let's connect the dots. Pfizer's CEO now says that people who receive the Pfizer vaccine will likely need a third dose between 6 and 12 months after initial vaccination. that third shot is needed to fight against coronavirus variants that have developed. After that, he said getting your coronavirus vaccine would likely become an annual event, kind of like getting your flu shot every year. But researchers still don't know for sure how long protection against the virus will last. That's because not all vaccines and not all viruses are the same. Some, like the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, known as the MMR, gives lifetime protection, while the flu is only seasonal. So far, both Pfizer and Moderna are reporting their vaccines offer protection through at least 6 months. The problem right now are variants, which continue to spread. In fact, the more contagious UK variant is now the dominant version of coronavirus in the US. While limited research shows both Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines work against the variants, more research is needed, and there's always a concern a new one will emerge.
Welcome back to DBL. Actress Mayim Bialik got her big break in the iconic movie Beaches and has since starred in the sitcoms Blossom and The Big Bang Theory. Now she has a new show and a new cause, and it's all about cats. Jeff and I spoke with her earlier in today's Chatting with the Stars. Mayim, welcome to DBL. Your character Blossom was such a great role model for young girls like myself, kind of a super fan, keeping it cool. Where do you think Blossom would be today?
I don't mean to be a downer first thing in the morning, but we felt that with things like the Black Lives Matter movement, she would have been like, yes, I will be on the forefront of this.
Totally.
We felt like she'd really be a trailblazer like that.
I think so too. Or at NASA. I could see Blossom at NASA. Speaking of that, you played a neuroscientist on The Big Bang Theory, right? Or NASA, right? But you actually are a neuroscientist in real life. And I know there's a famous clip that we're going to be playing that shows when someone underestimated you or didn't know that on the red carpet.
How many people, not that you aren't a genius, but how many people think that you can solve calculus at the drop of a hat?
I actually was trained in calculus for several years. Yeah, I'm a neuroscientist, so you may not have known that.
And I just have always wanted to ask you what you felt in that moment when they were like, are the words hard to pronounce? And I know you used your real textbooks on set. That's how real it was.
I'm used to people assuming that I don't know things or that, I can't really be a scientist. So that was a very funny moment, but I love that it got turned into something that, a lot of young women have said, I felt so empowered by this,
Totally.
But really I was just like, oh, this happens all the time.
Wow.
So speaking of being smart, Mayim, you're going to be guest hosting Jeopardy. So now the question for me to you is, if they offer you that job permanently, would you take that job? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
I mean, that's a dream job. And I have to say my experience, I did 10 episodes, was an absolute dream. My brain really works the way that show works, meaning I'm constantly thinking about things, saying things. You have to be very quick on your feet and have someone in your ear being like, cut to commercial, do this. I loved it. I love that pacing. So I'm very excited for my episodes to air because I hope that people will appreciate the kind of host that I was and, really trying to do honor to Alex Trebek as well.
Should we continue this interview, but all of our questions be in the form of an answer?
Yeah, I have one. I have a good one. That's good. That's good.
Please no.
All right, let's try it.
I'm going to try it. Okay. What is the new show Call Me Cat on Fox about a single woman who runs a cat cafe? What was attracted to the character, Mayim? Oh, that was terrible.
That was bad. But I think she knows the answer.
No. Tell us all about Call Me Cat.
Well, I play an owner of a cat cafe. I'm a cat person in real life, and actually also excited to talk about ProPlan Live Clear, which is sitting next to me and next to my cat. So I'm generally a cat person, but I've also partnered with Purina ProPlan to talk about the first and only cat food that reduces cat allergens for people who are sensitive. So that's an unbelievable life changer for me. And there's something called the Live Clear Challenge, which you can take at ProPlanLiveClear.com. And within 3 weeks of feeding this to your cat every day, on average, you see about a 50% reduction in cat allergens, which for someone like me who has a boyfriend who is sensitive to cat allergens, it's really been a life changer for us.
Before we go, your breakout role, I don't know if anyone asks you about this, but like we weren't gonna let you go without asking, was playing a young Cece Bloom. It was Bette Midler's character in Beaches, and it was an amazing role. And I just wanted to know, what do you remember about working with an icon like that? And what do you remember from working on that film?
I was 12 years old when I worked on that, so it was a minute ago. But I remember being really impressed at how quiet Bette Midler was, and how lovely and gracious, and that was a really important thing. Especially, I was very new in the industry. To meet someone who was that famous, who was still really humble and nice, was a really special part of that experience.
You can watch Mayim Bialik in Call Me Cat on Fox, My Family Will Be. And to learn more about the Purina Pro Plan Live Clear Challenge, visit ProPlanLiveClear.com. Honestly, sorry to nerd out, but it was such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
After months of speculation, it's official. Democrats unveiled a plan to add 4 new justices to the Supreme Court. And look, there's a lot of speculation online. So here in the Verify team, we're going to take the politics out of it and just focus on the facts. So we're verifying, does the Constitution allow the number of Supreme Court justices to be changed? Here are our sources. Article 3, Section 1 of the Constitution. This FAQ page from the Supreme Court website. Adam Levitin from Georgetown Law. And Paul Schiff-Berman from GW Law. Let's start with the Constitution, which reads in part, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and that the judges, quote, shall hold their offices during good behavior. But the Constitution doesn't limit the amount of justices.
The Constitution has nothing to say about the number of justices, and indeed the number has changed. There's nothing magic about the number 9.
In fact, there were some big fluctuations in early American history. In 1789, the First Judiciary Act set the number of justices to 6. During the Civil War, it got up to 10. In 1869, Congress settled on 9 justices. And in the more than 150 years since then, presidents have tried but failed to change that number.
Most famously, Franklin Roosevelt tried to increase the number of justices on the court, and there was backlash to that.
So we could verify that yes, the Constitution does allow the number of justices to be changed. You just need an act of Congress and a signature from the president, something that hasn't been done in more than 150 years. Here at the Supreme Court, this is Evan Kozloff with your Verify.
Welcome back to DBL. Did you know regular exercise can help protect you against severe COVID? We're chatting about it in DBL's Focus on Fitness presented by QB. The British Journal studied almost 50,000 people who developed COVID-19. Their study found that those who had been the most active or exercised before catching the virus were far less likely to be hospitalized. People who didn't move as much were more likely to experience severe complications. Regular exercise, whether going to the gym, walking, biking, or swimming, is more important than ever. QB is changing the way the world thinks about fitness, regardless of physical ability or age. Try their Underdesk elliptical at home. Call 1-800-782-2351 or visit QB.com to learn more. I just started taking cardio bar, and that's so hard.
That just sounds hard.
It's very little movement. You're like this, but over until you're just like with your legs.
I don't think most people know what you're talking about. You just extended your arms.
No, okay. So you kind of like do like a plie, but like over and over until you fatigue the muscle enough and you're like jelly.
I was just thinking I wanted QB for my desk. I didn't take it there.
Just think, we should do an episode. I mean, not an episode. We should do a show where we have the elliptical under our desk.
Oh, that's a great idea.
All right, I want to make sure I'm in good enough shape for that, though. I don't want to be out of breath like saying a serious story. But yeah, we should do that. We got time.
We got time. And it's very good for your body, as we just said. We want to say goodbye to our coworkers. You're doing a great job producing the show from home. DBL's new every day. Have a good weekend, y'all. Be safe. We'll see you Monday. Same time, same place.
Let's get it.